you joining us too. Coach Greeny will make an opening comment, and then we'll turn it over for questions. Please use the raised hand feature, and when I see you in the queue, I'll get you in and get your question. Coach, we'll turn it over to you.
First of all, thank you so much for joining this morning. This is a very exciting time for me and our family. We're thrilled to be coming to West Virginia to be able to build the volleyball program into a national powerhouse. So just very, very excited. It's been a busy few days for sure. For you, media as well. You guys have been very, very busy. So thanks for taking the time today. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Coach. Our first question comes from Greg Hunter.
So, Coach, I guess the obvious one is you're a Washington State native, Washington State alum who's been very successful. Why leave there, come all the way across the country, and what was attractive about West Virginia?
Yes, I think I'm going to get that question a lot, first of all. But yeah, the biggest thing for me is Ren Baker and the vision that he has for West Virginia athletics and volleyball in particular. We love building programs. We've done it twice, once at a small NAIA school, Lewis Clark State College, and then at Washington State. So it's exciting. It's a challenge. The Big 12 is an exciting place to be. So new adventures, even though it's a long ways from home. I was born in the Midwest in Illinois. So, and actually I have a great grandfather and grandmother buried in West Virginia. I didn't even know. My dad told me. So my roots actually are West Virginia. So just exciting to be able to take on a new challenge and build this team.
Our next question comes from Cody Nesper of the Morgantown Dominion Post.
Hi, Coach. I'm just wondering, was this a situation? I mean, were you feeling out for jobs, or was this a situation somebody just reached out to you and kind of caught your attention?
Yeah, I think for sure reaching out, in college athletics, I think, you're happy a lot of times, and sometimes a great opportunity comes along like this. And so, I was able to talk to the search firm and then able to speak with Ren and come to campus and kind of close the deal that way. So I think with the uncertainty, of course, with the conference and the Pac-12 now not being there, it's tough, and that uncertainty in this profession is hard. We also graduated a lot of seniors, and we have an 8th grade daughter. So kind of the perfect time to find a new challenge.
Thank you, Coach. The next question is from WVUsports.com, John Antonic.
Yeah, Coach, just some of the challenges of building a program. I look here at WVU Volleyball, one NCAA tournament appearance in its history, and then you're surrounded by Pitt, which is a team you know very well, and then you've got Louisville and Kentucky and Penn State within the region. Just some of the challenges you're going to have to encounter here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think finding the fit to West Virginia volleyball, but we have also done that before. Pullman, Washington isn't exactly the hotbed of volleyball. And so, just really being able to find that certain student athlete that wants the small town atmosphere, the great support of the Mountaineer fan base, coaches that really care about their players, and as people also on the court. I think we are very good trainers as well, that sometimes, well, actually we never really got the blue chip athlete, but we train really well and have great team chemistry and build a culture on that. And so I think just finding those student athletes.
Real quick, I would guess too, the transfer portal is a different dynamic than the first time you built, so that you can do it probably a little quicker.
Yes, absolutely. The transfer portal wasn't a thing 13 years ago, really. We barely got transfers. And so that's exciting. I think people that want a change and, want that challenge right away, maybe want to come in and play, or make a difference on a team. It is hopefully, it'll take me and us maybe a little bit less time to get back to the NCAA tournament than at Washington State.
We'll go to Kevin Kinder of the Blue and Gold News.
Good morning, Coach, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Looking at your roster the past couple of years, a lot of European players. Is that something that you have always done? Is that something that you think you can do here? Obviously, West Virginia is stuck in between Ohio and Pennsylvania. There's great players, but Ohio State and Penn State gobble a lot of those up. Recruiting's always been an issue here. What are your plans in that direction? Have you had a chance to think about that yet?
Yeah, our European connection probably started about 6 years ago. So, right after we had gone to the NCAA tournament a couple of years, and we just needed better and better players, and we weren't getting those players. And so we just kept going east, and then there was water and we had to keep going. So, but yeah, I think we've made unbelievable connections in Europe. And so for sure, we will continue to recruit in Europe and Mexico, Canada. So we will scour the ends of the earth to find the right volleyball players. And it's been really, really fun to coach, foreign players. They bring a great flavor to your team. Most of the time they've been just a dream to coach. So we will hopefully continue that.
And I'm assuming your husband's coming with you to be on the staff. I was reading his bio. He's kind of your recruiting coordinator. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. He is our recruiting coordinator. He is the one that usually takes those trips. I've got to go on a couple of them, and I choose the better places. I go to Italy and he goes to, where Romania or somewhere. So, yes, he is coming. He is actually on a trip right now to Morgantown to check it out because he hasn't been there. So, if you're going to be a great recruiter, which he is, he wanted to step foot on campus so he can just hit the ground running, and we can start moving in the right direction.
We'll go to Nick Farrell of Golden Blue Nation.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for your time. I guess I have two questions. I want to follow up quickly on the family connection. How much do you sell sort of a family atmosphere to players when you're recruiting?
We really sell that because we really believe that it's true, especially, my husband and I do work together. In the past, we've also had a former teammate of mine, and just creating that family atmosphere, I think is really, really important, and, creating that culture. And I think Morgantown is a great place to do that. Just being there for a short amount of time. The people there were incredible. What we've always really loved about Pullman, which I think is similar in Morgantown, is that, you go to a restaurant, you go to the grocery store, you're out and about, and, people recognize you as a student athlete, as a volleyball player. They say, great match last night. It's fun coming, to watch you. We really like to also have a great connection with the youth in the community. So we'll hopefully get that going as well.
And then on a similar note, Coach, there are a lot of metrics that show just how much college volleyball has grown over the last 5 to 10 years. How did you experience that in your previous job? And how can West Virginia latch onto a piece of that pie?
Yeah, I think attendance and just people watching volleyball in general and being interested in it. Probably 10 years ago, people didn't really understand volleyball, and I'm not sure that some of them still do. There's a lot of nuances of the sport, but just getting the fan involvement and getting people out and getting those connections. It's of course on TV, much more than it used to be. So probably our biggest thing was we had season ticket holders that we sold out, of course, a smaller arena, but season ticket holders, getting those connections and getting that fan base going. So you can certainly help with that.
We'll move to Mike Asti.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for doing this. Just wanted to kind of hit a little bit what was touched on already on the recruiting front, because the difference is, and John talked about the region, and even Coach Neil Brown talked yesterday about he considers a local recruit for West Virginia within a 6-hour radius, which encompasses a lot of major programs in a lot of different conferences, obviously, and that's maybe unique to other parts of the country. But was the decision to move across the country and take this job despite the death of the Pac-12 also part of the transfer portal? What kind of role did that play? Because you could potentially, obviously bring in some of your former players with you. That's very common when coaches take other jobs. So recruiting high school players, recruiting of the region area is not as much of a problem as it would have been if maybe you were jumping to across the country 10 years ago where you didn't know any of these players, didn't go to their high school games, didn't have the connection, and then you'd be very far behind a program like Pitt that's been to all these Final Fours. But you could quickly turn it around based on the portal. Is that part of your decision-making process?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And, you hit on a great piece that there is so much 6 hour in a 6-hour radius from West Virginia, as opposed to Pullman, and you're just in the middle of Montana or Idaho or Oregon. You haven't really found anywhere yet. But so that's really, really exciting that, so many more recruits within that radius. Parents can drive and see their daughter play, things like that. So that is part of it too. Just recruiting on the West Coast, I think is harder and harder. And like you said, you see that with Pitt. California players are coming to Pittsburgh. So, I think just the way volleyball is going, and you recruit them early, and the transfer portal, that you just know so many more recruits at this stage of the game.
Our next question goes to Eric Little.
Hi, I was just wanting to ask, how familiar are you with the current roster, and how compatible is that with what you want to do and the kind of style that you want to play?
Yeah, great question. Not super familiar besides just names, positions, watched a little bit of film, but I'm going to tell you, it's been a whirlwind of a couple of days, trying to get all this done and signed on the dotted line and figuring all this out. But the great thing is you have some great young or younger players returning. Haley Green, who set the single season record in kills. That's very exciting. Just to have 11 returners coming into the spring, and a few spots open to maybe bring some additional people in the spring, or of course for the fall. I think it's a great place to start, and it's a solid base. So really excited to get in the gym, and you don't really know. You can watch film all you want, but until you get in the gym, and that's really what our style is, trying to figure out what everyone's strengths are, and we're going to build this program around that.
And to kind of follow up on what's been said a couple other places, the idea of the university and what makes this job appeal to you. What specific resources would you like to see from West Virginia University, or allocated from the university, to build this program the way that you would like to see it built, dovetailing off of the growth of women's sports and volleyball specifically?
Right. I think the biggest thing, and it's becoming, very, very popular in the sport of volleyball, it's called TerraFlex flooring. We at Washington State just put in the largest permanent TerraFlex floor in the country, but many Big 12 institutions and Big 10 are really investing in volleyball and this kind of synthetic playing surface called TerraFlex. So I don't think it's too expensive. There's some labor and storage and things like that go along with it, but that would, I think, just be one of the first priorities. I think it's a great recruiting tool, and we just saw so many reductions in injuries just across the board this year, having that TerraFlex floor.
Coach, we're going to go back to John and Tonic.
Curious, I counted this up, and I think I got it right. I think you've spent 22 of your last 26 years in Pullman. So obviously you set roots there, and I guess you consider this a personal reboot, maybe a professional reboot in your life a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as you get into college athletics and you build and you start being more successful, I think you figure out what you really like and maybe what you don't like and where you want to live. Just traveling all across the country. And a smaller town, a great college atmosphere is just one of those things that drawing us to Morgantown and to West Virginia. So yeah, like I mentioned before, it's kind of that time maybe in our lives. Our daughter's in 8th grade. She's really, really excited to make the move, and so yeah, you're probably right.
Curious, obviously Christmas, you got to get through the holidays. What's next up for you? Give us your short-term future here for the next couple weeks.
Christmas is approaching quickly. I probably should start shopping or maybe it'll be gift cards this year. But we are actually planning on coming to the bowl game. So I really, really hope that I will be able to meet some of you in person and get to experience the amazing fan base that West Virginia University has and meet some great donors in the Mountaineer Athletic Club and all of those really important things. That'll be really exciting for us. And then we have had a little family vacation planned for a while. We didn't get to do it last year. We have an older daughter that's actually at Montana State University. She's on the golf team. And so, just being able to go on that little family vacation, and then we will be in Morgantown after the beginning of the year.
And I assume roster building is your number one objective.
Oh yeah, that's already started.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, you bet.
Cody Nesper.
Yeah, Coach, I got two, if you don't mind. First, you mentioned how important kind of youth outreach is. And I'm sure you're not super familiar with it yet, but high school volleyball has been on a pretty decent rise here in West Virginia. How do you see it? And maybe it was the same at Washington State, but how do you see it when a state's flagship university has a good athletics program in general? How do you see that kind of trickle down to just overall interest in the sport?
Oh, I think it's extremely important. And, we will reach out to high school coaches across the state and the area, and inviting them to camps and to our matches and getting out to meet them. I think that's really, really important to just grow the game. If I may, we at Washington State started out and we did a team camp, and I think we had maybe 11 or 12 schools that came, and last year we had 52. So just really trying to give back and help coaches in any way that we can, and just make those relationships, to help build the sport and grow the game. And of course, we want to make West Virginia volleyball in the state fabulous, because we want to keep those West Virginia volleyball players home.
And then when you talk about building a program, I'm just wondering, what's kind of the blueprint of either what you did at Washington State, or we keep mentioning Pitt, what Dan Fisher has done, where you just get better and better and better, and then eventually you find yourself, you're one of the best teams in the country?
Yeah, I mean, it's a process, right? I think what I mentioned is training and getting the right players that buy in and want to be the change and want to work really hard. And like I said, I don't know these players on the current roster, personally yet. We certainly will. And just talking to them yesterday, I think they're very, very excited to get going and get in the gym and start making these changes. So, and just getting better. So for sure, just it's a process. And every time we go out recruiting, we want to recruit players a little bit better than those that, graduated or left. And so I think that's what we've done, and have certainly tried to be better every single year.
Next up is WVSN Griffin Floyd.
Hey, Coach, you're talking about your sort of motto for building a program, focusing on players you can coach rather than, overwhelming size, athleticism, things like that. How does that help when you are joining on with a new team that, you don't have to spend the time saying, all right, we're going to bring in all these players who are 6'8", but rather that you can, recruit players or, players who are already there and sort of mold them to your image for the program?
Yeah, for sure. If you know any 6'8" players, send them my way. But yeah, I mean, I think, you don't always get every single recruit that you really want, or those top tier recruits. So you have to find a way and figure out what the team needs and try and go, sometimes it is size, sometimes it's quickness, sometimes it's, we just really need great passers and ball control. A great setter, and maybe she's, not 6'3", but she's 5'9", but super competitive. So you don't always get what you want, but there are ways to really make your team dynamic and work hard and work together. So just trying to fit those pieces together.
We will go back to Mike Asti.
Hey, Coach. I also kind of wanted to touch on, and somebody asked you about women's sports in general and the growth and all of that. What relationship, or maybe not any yet, do you have with really any of the other coaches at West Virginia right now, but even in particular Mark Kellogg, because his journey could be compared to yours, joining a program 1 year in. It's a women's program. He's trying to build it up. He's competing with the same situation dynamics, and his team obviously is rolling and undefeated, and he had to learn his roster as well. And then even around the region, even Fisher at Pitt, because if we were talking 4 or 5 years ago, they were not an elite program, and now they've become one, and he's recruiting the same region. What are your relationships with any of those coaches at WVU or opposing coaches in the region, or do you not have any and need to build those?
Yeah, as far as coaches at WVU, I don't have any relationships with them, but I think one of the best things you can do is learn from coaches at your own institution and what they've done, those successful coaches, and you learn maybe some recruiting things from them as well. So as soon as we get on campus, we will certainly be connecting with him and all of the coaches, actually, and just try and make this move as fast as possible. But I think there's I've got lots of relationships with other coaches in the Big 12 specifically, some that are a little newer to the conference, and so that's always great to be able to give them a call and say, how does this work, or what has worked for you, getting into the conference and trying to build programs along the way. So I think other coaches are the absolute best resource.
Thanks.
We'll go back to Greg Hunter.
So, Coach, just the family's thought of the move. You mentioned your daughter was excited, but still, it's got to be a little bit of trepidation for an 8th grader to move away from the place that I guess she's probably lived most, or if not all, of her life. And then Ren had said earlier in an interview session we had with him that your daughter is already a big Raekwon Battle fan because of the Montana State connection. So how's that all work?
Yeah, I mean, small world, for sure. That's what college athletics is. So, yeah, I mean, she posted something, on her Instagram yesterday about, him coming back and being able to play. And so, they're good friends from his time at Montana State. But yeah, for sure. Our younger daughter, she's very adventurous and loves to meet new people and is really looking forward to figuring out, what school, and she's taller than me, so she's about 6'2" and plays volleyball, so we'll have to figure that out. And just really, really exciting time for our family, and it'll be great to figure out where we want to live and just really get to know what Morgantown's all about.
So the 2 high schools started recruiting you for live in their districts so they can get your daughter?
I think they're calling right now. I don't know. We'll see. you have any advice, let me know.
Well, I'm a grad of one, so I'll try to hold my thoughts.
Okay.
I'll let you figure it out. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
That's all the questions in the queue. Once again, we'll make it available to any member of the media. If you have a question while we're still here, please use the raise hand feature and we'll get you in with Coach Greeny. Okay, Coach, that's all we have today. I want to thank you again. We appreciate your time. Want to wish you and your family happy holidays for the coming season. And we're really looking forward to you getting to Morgantown after the first of the year.
Thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time. I know it's been super busy, but really, really excited to meet you all, hopefully in person. If not at the bowl game, once we get to Morgantown for sure.